City. They're in some trouble. They're in the bad boy chair. Minus 400, hosting Aston Villa 8-1. The draw is 6-1. News came out about potential sanctions or maybe a points deduction or kicking City out of the league. Wherever you want to go with it. Maybe they could take Liverpool with them on their way out.
Can you do it on a rainy night in Colchester, Michael?
Yeah, I can. I don't know if Erling Haaland can. Villa's been improving under Unai Emery. This situation's so weird for City. I don't particularly think it's a great bet. But with the kind of balls in the air, it's Villa or nothing here. It's just going to be a kind of strange atmosphere. I know you two are also in agreement here, willing to back Villa to keep it relatively close. Ain't that right, BJ?
Yeah, I think this is a great spot here for Villa. If you look, so I thought the performance that Tottenham put against City is probably their best performance I've seen them have this year, especially defensively. They are, obviously they're elite at defending their penalty area, and they held City under one expected goal. It was a fantastic performance, but it also highlights kind of what's happening with City. So Pep tried to change his formation to a 4-4-2. So to get somebody to supply Alvarez alongside Haaland, and it just didn't work. And so what City's trying to do is they're trying to build up in a 3-2-3-2. Well, what often happens with that is that he scrunches everything so narrow, and then Grealish and whoever they play on the right, whether it be Mahrez, whether it be Silva, whoever, they just get left alone on an island out there with no support. So there's no Cancelo, there's no Kyle Walker to come and supply those overlapping runs or whatever it is. So now City is stuck with this position of we have to build through the middle of the pitch because our wingers are isolated. And I think that's why you saw Haaland not get any touches, is because they're so obsessed with playing through the middle of the pitch. Tottenham's very elite at doing that, and they had a great game plan to keep Erling Haaland at bay. And I mean, this is what we've been saying for how many weeks, that Haaland has made City worse or made them more predictable, whatever you want to call it. So now you got to face Unai Emery's team, who, they conceded 4 goals to Leicester, but if you saw how they conceded some of those, the first one was on one of the dumbest mistakes I've seen in a long time, trying to build out of the back. Leicester got a perfect cross in there. Guy lost a man, and then the other two, the match was kind of, haywire, and game state obviously matters. But Unai Emery's teams do such a good job at defending in between the lines. And I have no doubt they're going to be able to do that here as well. City, they just consistently are putting up under one expected goal. And that's a big problem. And another thing is they're not that great defending in transition either. The stat I've, mentioned, 7,000 times already, but final third to box entry conversion rate. City, although it's a small sample size for them, so you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt, they're dead last in the Premier League. Once teams are able to go in transition, they're able to get from the final third and into the box more effectively against City than anybody else in the Premier League. So I do like Villa at +2. I have City's spread projected at -1.7. So, +2 at -130 about is, -130, -135 is about as high as I'd go. But it's another good spot situation because we've already mentioned City's got Arsenal on Wednesday, which is a massive match for them, because if they lose that, they're 8 points behind Arsenal, and Arsenal has a game in hand. So I like Villa +2. I think there's some decent value there, and I really question whether City, we'll talk about City and Leipzig next week, but I really question if these problems for City are going to, I don't think they're going to be fixed anytime soon.
If City scores 3 or 4 and beats me here, wins this game by 3+ goals, good for them.
Who cares? Yeah,
tip my cap. Good job, great win. Congrats to the book on my unit, on that match. I don't see it. There is no more mid-table team than Villa. They're not great at anything. They're not bad at anything. They're just kind of like a team who exists.
Unless Steven Gerrard is in charge, then they're a top 6 team.
By the way, I was wrong about Gerrard. I'm not wrong about Marsh. But anyway.
Oh, stop it.
Anyway.
He's going to run the United States men's national team into the ground. I know our guy Ronaldo would agree with me.
We'll have to get him on and see what he says.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, I think that, like I said, though, the Villa, Emery has always had a good game plan when going up against the big sides. That's been true everywhere he's been. It's especially true at Villarreal, the last couple of years going up against the big, we always said this with Villarreal, like they were always played up well against Barcelona, Real Madrid, even in the Champions League, of course, taking off some big scalps. Like this team is still a well-organized defense that will be difficult to break down from the middle. They will let you cross and they will, but like you said, City's not really like using the crosses as much as normal. And they're not really taking advantage of set pieces, which is one area where Villa has really struggled defensively. So I think this is a great Villa +2. I don't think City's good. I don't think there's anybody good enough this year to be laying 2 against a mid-table team. Earlier this year, City laid 2 to Palace, and I was like, it's too many. That was when City was flying high, and Palace ended up being worse. Now, like they're still laying 2 despite the like. I don't understand how the market hasn't downgraded them yet, and they're a road favorite at Arsenal next week too. It's really interesting to me because somebody asked me the other day, like, does Pep want to win the league? Like, why isn't he playing De Bruyne? Because that doesn't make sense.
He's so afraid. I've been reading a lot of City like tactical stuff, and I think what it is what happened is like when Tottenham played City, in previous times, is like they've punished them in transition, and obviously De Bruyne is not a transitional defensive type of guy. So Pep has gone with a more defensive type approach, so that if they do lose the ball, they don't get beat in transition that easily. And De Bruyne doesn't really fit into what he wants to do with their build-up play, which I mean, it doesn't really make much sense to me, but that's what kind of the City people are saying. So I don't
Pep overthink.
It's an overthink is what it is. It's exactly right, Anthony. So who knows? Again, and then also, like you said, Michael, like there's this, nothing's going to happen in the near future, according to all the reports, but there is this just overarching cloud of like sanctions. So it's got to be at least like somewhat on the mind of players being like, am I going to be here next year?
I think it was 2020, right? The same thing happened where it was like they're gonna get banned from the
Jose
Champions League.
Jose Mourinho.
I remember reading in the paper like they're gonna go to the 5th division. Like me and my buddy and I were joking about it, and then we're like, nothing's gonna happen. They'll get a fine, like a transfer ban. That's my prediction.
You can't piss off an entire country. They'll just take away all the funding from the league that they give through advertisements and shady deals and stuff. So
no more Fly Emirates.
Transfer ban is my official prediction. Like two windows. That's what they gave Chelsea, at least I think it was.